Hi everyone, and welcome to this Keptn community and developer meeting. It's February 18th. We have a couple of new and exciting news. As usual, please just add your name to the meeting document so we can keep track of attendance. There are, one point also, so we are following the CNCF code of conduct, so please, basically means please be nice to each other in the Keptn community. We don't have any discussions left from the last meeting, so we can already skip to the next point. Right now, we are in the process of reviewing applications in the LFX mentorship program. The application period closed last week, and the reviewing period is until next week. So we received a couple of applications. Thank you for that, for both projects actually. So for the project for improving or adding functionality to the Keptn CLI, and the other project in improving the connections between Prometheus and Keptn, and improving how both projects can work together. So thanks a lot, and we will be reviewing these applications and then reach out directly to the mentees via the governance and the portal of the Linux Foundation and the CNCF. One other part before I hand over, thanks also for all the feedback that we received on the website. We now moved the community page of Keptn to the Keptn website. So it's now on keptn.sh/community. You can now find all the community content, including a contributing guide, all of our meetings, FAQs, all of our community rockstars. So you can find everything on keptn.sh, which is now really kind of a one-stop shop for everything around Keptn. And what we also added is a couple of resources. So there are a lot of resources out there. There are YouTube videos, there are blogs, there are podcasts, there are public presentations and slide decks out there. So you will be finding a lot of those resources now directly in keptn.sh. It's a little bit structured into more hands-on focused webinars, adoption highlights, like the user group of Keptn that we do every month. So we have a lot of information there, how users and Keptn adopters, how they are using Keptn, what they are doing with Keptn. So make sure to check this out. It's on keptn.sh with all the new content now. So yeah, if you have more feedback, just let us know. We are happy to include this as well, or just open a PR, and we are happy to review it and get it merged. So with that, I think I'm already handing over to the next part. I assume this is Johannes. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm handing over to you. Do you want to take over the screen sharing as well?
Please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, what I want to show you today is a little bit of an outlook into the future. Because after the release is before the next release, and we already structured our thoughts about what we are going to build with Keptn 0.8.1. You can already take a look into the milestone of Keptn 0.8.1, where you find already issues prepared for that. And just want to give you a very high-level overview of what will be addressed coming up the next month. First, OpenShift 4.x enterprise readiness is on our agenda, meaning that we will run then Docker containers as not root users, and also want to provide integration test for OpenShift 4.x. Yeah, this should be this building block is maybe a handful of issues that need to be addressed. And quite an interesting one is that one where we want to drink our own champagne, and where we want to get more familiar on delivering Keptn with Keptn itself, meaning that there should be one Keptn that deploys another Keptn into multiple environments on a daily basis, meaning that with every commit that the community is pushing to the master branch, a Keptn should be then updated in a dev stage, hardening stage, and finally then also be promoted to a production environment where we can or have stable Keptn up and running. I provide here a very brief summary of this story, more details, and also a breakdown of this epic into issues is ongoing. A couple of those issues are already created and a couple of more will follow, but this is what the team will focus on in the next weeks.
Is there a definition or example of how it feels like end to end? So what does it feel like for the end user, and what is the result on the target environment?
Not yet.
Okay.
I just provide here this epic for now, but I want to write it down into the user stories or into a user view. Following or based on experience we also make from testing 0.8.0.
Maybe a follow-up question. Should a Keptn be able to upgrade itself based on this story?
No, not itself.
Okay.
No. Keptn should, there will be one Keptn that takes over the control of deploying others, but this gentleman who is kind of the master Keptn should not update himself. And also important, based on this epic, we also want to learn more about Keptn itself, meaning that we want to understand in more details how much CPU memory are we consuming, how many events we can store, and also derive maybe some improvements for performance. All right. And when it comes to the UI, there are two epics, so to say, for improving the visualization of the quality gates, because we have users that have quite long SLI names, and with too long names, it's almost, or it's difficult to use the heat map, or the heat map shrinks and makes it difficult to use. And this is one thing that we want to tackle going forward. And the second one is also about quality gates improvements, because we want to give a user the chance to get a project-wide overview of how the services how the quality of the services is. And I think that this would be nice to fit into the environment screen, but I would also get your ideas and your thoughts on that. Yeah, as we maybe want to discuss a mock-up in the next or once of the next meeting in here to see also what you think. But the goal is to give a Keptn user the chance to see at in one screen how all the services are behaving, or how the quality is of all of those services. All right. Yep. Please take a look at this board, and when you have remarks or want to add some thoughts, just ping me, and I'm happy to discuss this with you. All right, this was it from my side today. Then I will hand over to the next one in the list. Who is Ermin?
Are there any questions directly on this part
okay.
That Johannes mentioned? As we have two new members to the community joining, I just allow everyone to unmute and talk. If you want to ask some questions to Johannes, feel free to do so. Okay, not yet. So I think we're just handing over now to Ermin.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to present the pull request for the bridge today. It's the service screen refinement. Yeah, the idea was, since we introduced the sequence screen now, that the service screen can be reduced. And here in this issue, I have an old screenshot of the services screen where you had a list of all tasks that happened in this root event or sequence. And yeah, actually this was the same as we have now in the sequences screen. But yeah, we wanted to have still the overview of the stages the sequence went through and focus here on the evaluation result and the heat map in the service screen. So as a result, and I will do a live presentation as usually, in the result now, when you have yeah, the service screen and you select the sequence that yeah, was executed for a specific service, then you see actually some basic information like the artifact and the context here. You see the stages, and when you click on one of the stages, you see the recent task and only important information like yeah, if there is an approval open, then the approval trigger card, or if there is an evaluation. And actually, I think in this project, I don't have any evaluations, then you would see the heat.
Do you? Sorry, do you hear me still?
We can hear you, but the
So
voice changed.
I will just look for an example where I have evaluation. Yeah, here you will see then the heat map as well. And we also provide the deep link here to see the sequences, or actually that sequence. And this deep link is still not working because we don't have deep links for the sequences implemented yet. This will come, yeah, with next week. But yeah, we are working on that. But here you see like a overview of that artifact and the evaluation in that stage. Yeah. Are there any questions on that one?
I mean, for a user who was used to take a look at this screen.
Sorry, Johannes, I cannot hear you.
I think that's. I think it's on his
For
part.
some reason, I can't hear you. I'm really sorry.
Okay. It's just a note. It's not
maybe
not a question.
now I can hear you.
Okay. Just for a user who is used to this screen, this person does not lose any information because with a click on the sequence screen, he gets what he was used to from the old version, but now it's reduced to the max, so to say, by just showing the most important elements of a delivery and of a remediation. I mean, what information are we showing when it comes to problem?
I can show the sequence screen, of course. Here we see the whole sequence with all the tasks that have been executed. But yeah, here we reduce it to the last task and the status. So in case of a problem, you will see recent task is problem resolved. And actually you should see here the message, it's on the wrong place. Here it says response time degradation. So the reason why the yeah, remediation or the problem, the remediation workflow was triggered. Yeah. If so, you see that the status is the problem is resolved here. And if you need more details, then of course you would jump to the sequence screen and have a look at the sequence itself, where you would see then all the tasks that have been executed, like all the remediation actions. Yeah. So if there are no more questions, I'm handing over to Christian. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Give me a second. Okay. All right, now you can see my screen. So I just want to show 3 pull requests actually. The first one is not so much of a noteworthy contribution, rather a reminder for everyone that's contributing and writing code to follow the so-called Boy Scout rule. This hasn't been part of our contribution guide, so I've added it, but it should be kind of common sense, or at least a good ground rule if you're contributing to open source, or even if you're contributing to closed source, that you take a look at the code that you're about to change and to always leave the code better than you found it. And I'm addressing this here because I just want to also point out some more things about this. We all want to make the world better all the time, but it's just not feasible to do it always. So for instance, when you're fixing a bug, it's not your point or your part to refactor the code around the bug. In fact, if you do it and we need to backport the bug, we might get some merge conflicts and problems. So if you fix a bug, just fix the bug and that's it. And also in addition, take a look at what you're trying to fix or what you're trying to do, and make an educated guess on how much you should or could refactor if you really want to refactor. For instance, if your change would require 10 lines of code, then don't refactor 200 lines of code. It's just not balanced. So make sure your PRs are balanced. And the last thing I want to point out, if you file a PR, always ask yourself, what changes within this PR would you expect if you were the reviewer? So if the task is, please fix the typo, then the reviewer would expect a pull request where the typo is fixed and not where, I don't know, 20 other things have been changed. Does anyone have something to add on this or to comment on this? Okay.
I think it's always a good reminder to rethink or to think about such guidelines and best practices when it comes to contributing. Thanks.
Absolutely, and it's true for every open source project out there, not just Keptn. So, yeah. All right. Next thing, I did some changes with the help of Florian and I think Bernd to the onboard service workflow. So it's 2 PRs because one of them is for the CLI and one of them is for Helm service. And I think this one is the CLI. Yeah. So I actually want to dig a little bit into the code because I think that's a good thing to know. But let me actually take a look at the issue first. So the idea was, this is the wrong issue. Okay, I'll just talk about it. The idea was to get rid of the Keptn onboard service command. We found out that it's not that simple to just get rid of it. The idea was to replace it by create service and add resource, but add resource had some issues with Helm charts that were supplied in folders. So within my PR, I did address this in the CLI, but I wasn't able to fully do what was in the initial issue definition. Instead, what I did is I have moved some code for onboard service into the CLI. So it has been moved away from Helm service and it has been moved into the CLI. And that's essentially part of this. And so how would you do that? Because that's the one point I want to show. You would initialize a so-called resource handler, a so-called stages handler, a chart storer. You iterate over all the stages, or actually you get all the stages and you iterate over all the stages and you store your Helm chart in all the stages. And I'm showing you this because there is many use cases where it might not be a Helm chart, but it might be a different file that you want to automatically, that you want to store in your Keptn configuration repository. And essentially that's the code for it. So resource handler, stages handler, chart storer, or if you have something else than a chart, then you don't need a chart storer. You can work with the resource handler. get the stages, iterate over the stages, and just add it to your config repository. This is all implemented in Keptn utils or in the Keptn Go utils, by the way. Any questions on that or comments? Okay, I'll go over to the next one. That's the Helm service specific. No, it's not. Sorry. I know, I see. This is the part I've updated Helm service and the CLI at once. So here I've changed the CLI, and I think down below, yeah, I deleted the onboard handler in Helm service, and we have removed some cloud events or some events that we listen for in the deploy service YAML and in the Helm service main.go. So the second part is actually rather boring. It's really just deleting things. And then the other issue, the other PR, here we go. We deprecated the onboard service command, or at least that was our intention. We added a warning now when you use deprecate, when you use onboard service, that it will be changed in the future. And we added a -- all stages to Keptn add resource. I think the code itself is not too interesting. I've provided an example here. So with this, this actually goes into the direction that Johannes was mentioning of deploying Keptn with Keptn. So if you wanted to deploy Keptn with Keptn, you would have to add the Keptn Helm chart, and you would have to add it into all stages right now. So this would be the command to do it. So you do a Keptn add resource to the project Keptn, to a service. I've called the service Keptn control plane, and I will add it to all stages. And this would also do the same thing that I've shown you before. It would iterate over all stages and call the resource handler to add it. About deprecating the command, I think we didn't deprecate it here because it's just not deprecated right now, but we added some output. Yeah. Okay, any questions on that or comments? Okay, then I'm done. And I'll hand over to the next person if anyone has anything else to present or show.
I think, am I? No, I'm not muted. I think we are good here. Let me just open up the agenda one last time. Looking at the agenda, thanks Christian, thanks Ermin for sharing this, and also thanks to Johannes for sharing more on the roadmap. We have folks joining from the community. If you have any questions, please ask them. Or if you maybe also want to quickly introduce yourself, that would be cool. So the Keptn community gets to know you. I have allowed everyone to unmute themselves and join us here. Otherwise, I just want to let you know that we have the Keptn Slack. We have all the information also in this meeting document that has been shared in this meeting. So we do have the Slack channel, and which is basically our main way for communication during the week between our weekly Keptn development meetings. So if there are no more questions and no more announcements, I think we can close it a little bit earlier than usual. Thanks so much. See you all next time. And I just want to share maybe a link to the latest Keptn user group, because this was a really great addition where a Keptn user, where they were showcasing how they are leveraging Keptn for scaling the performance test. So this is just one thing I will share real quick here. I know the chat will be gone once we close this meeting.
Or you can just add it to the agenda, then it will stay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will add it to the agenda as well. That's a good point. Okay, So then I will add it to the agenda, so you will have the link also for later use. Then thanks everyone. See you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.